Hi, I'm Jim from Trek World. Did the cast of Star Trek the Motion Picture secretly worry that the movie wasn't working? The refit Enterprise, the sweeping Jerry Goldsmith score, the grandeur, the silence, the ambition. But scale can distract from something quieter, something more human. What did it feel like to be on Stage 9 at Paramount during those months? Not in publicity photos, not at the premiere, but during the long hours, the revisions, the waiting, the recalibrating. Preston Neil Jones, in Return to Tomorrow, gives us glimpses of something that rarely becomes its own narrative. Mood, not explosive drama, not headline conflict. Mood. The atmosphere on the soundstage was not jubilant. It was not chaotic. It was measured, serious, sometimes uncertain. The cast had not worked together in this configuration for nearly a decade. The original series had ended in 1969. What had been vibrant television energy now returned under entirely different expectations. This was no longer a weekly broadcast adventure. This was Paramount's most expensive production. The difference in scale altered everything. William Shatner was no longer simply Captain Kirk. He was the face of a franchise revival. Leonard Nimoy returned under carefully negotiated circumstances.
The following program is brought to you in living color by Trek World.
DeForest Kelley stepped back into McCoy's familiar shoes. But familiarity does not erase the passage of time. Jones describes how the early days of filming carried an undercurrent of recalibration. The cast had to rediscover chemistry, but they also had to adapt to Robert Wise's style. Wise was disciplined, methodical. He did not cultivate chaos. He cultivated precision. For actors accustomed to the faster rhythm of television, this shift required adjustment. Television production had been quick. Scenes were shot efficiently. Energy was immediate. Now scenes unfolded slowly. The camera lingered. Silences expanded. Blocking was deliberate. And deliberate pacing creates space. Space can be powerful. It can also amplify self-consciousness. Jones notes that some cast members were unsure how the film's contemplative tone would play. The script emphasized introspection. Spock's arc leaned heavily into internal struggle. Kirk's emotional journey centered on rediscovery rather than conquest. This was not the swashbuckling rhythm of earlier episodes. It was quieter, more philosophical. That tonal shift demanded restraint. Restraint can feel unfamiliar. Actors thrive on feedback, laughter, energy, momentum. On Stage 9, much of the filming involved careful lighting adjustments, visual effects considerations, and measured setups. Waiting became part of the routine. Waiting affects mood. It slows tempo. It gives time for doubt to enter. Jones captures the sense that no one was openly declaring disaster, but neither was anyone bursting with unguarded enthusiasm. There was gravity. Everyone understood the stakes. Paramount had invested enormous resources. The industry was watching. Fans were watching. The pressure did not manifest as shouting. It manifested as seriousness. The redesigned uniforms contributed to that atmosphere. Muted tones, soft fabrics. They signaled maturity. But they also changed the cast's visual identity. The vibrant reds and golds of the series had projected confidence. The film's palette projected solemnity. Costume effects posture. Posture affects performance. Under bright studio lights, some of the new fabrics proved less than comfortable. Heat accumulated. Collars required adjustment. Subtle discomfort influences patience. Patience influences mood. Leonard Nimoy's return carried its own emotional complexity. He had publicly distanced himself from the character after the series. Now he was back. But Spock's storyline in the film required vulnerability. Spock grapples with identity, with emotion, with incompleteness. Jones suggests that Nimoy approached this material thoughtfully, but thoughtful performance can feel weighty on set. Shatner's Kirk was likewise transformed. He was no longer in constant command. He was rediscovering command. That rediscovery required humility. Humility reads differently than swagger. Trek World is proud to announce their first ever full-length documentary about Star Trek's Galileo shuttlecraft prop. From its earliest hangout at the 20th Century Fox studio storage lot, to rotting in the sun, to a miraculous rebirth and a tour through NASA's Houston Space Center, to the USS Intrepid aircraft carrier, to the Star Trek tour in upstate New York. Everywhere this little beauty went, it was experienced by fans. And we have their stories, photos, videos, and memories that have never been seen before now. Coming this Christmas 2026, follow Trek World on social media or visit us at trek-world.com for the latest upcoming information. As the cast navigated these altered dynamics, the production's pace reinforced introspection. Robert Wise encouraged subtlety. He valued composure. He was not chasing television immediacy. He was constructing cinema. Cinema allows silence. Silence invites contemplation. But contemplation, when repeated across days of shooting, can feel heavy. Jones indicates that some cast members quietly wondered how audiences would respond to such extended sequences. Would they embrace the patience, or would they grow restless? These were not loud concerns. They were private questions. The cast was not alone in feeling the weight. Crew members sensed the seriousness as well. Lighting adjustments were meticulous. Visual effects coordination demanded precision. Each setup required care. Care consumes time. Time, when stretched, can alter morale. Morale on Stage 9 was not low. It was cautious. Everyone wanted the film to succeed. Everyone wanted the revival to justify itself. But ambition can suppress spontaneity. The camaraderie of the original series had been born in relative underdog conditions. The film was no underdog. It was a flagship. Flagships move differently. Jones recounts how the atmosphere sometimes felt restrained compared to the television years. There was less joking between takes, more focus, more awareness of scrutiny. The design revisions and script refinements discussed earlier contributed to this mood. When elements are still settling, participants remain alert. Alertness is not relaxation. Even small uncertainties can shape energy. One of the most telling dynamics involved the long sequences of the Enterprise refit reveal. Shooting those moments required careful technical orchestration. The actors often performed against incomplete visual contexts. Green screens were not yet industry standard, but visual effects placeholders required imagination. Imagination under slow pacing can create isolation. An actor delivering a line into the unknown must trust the eventual composite. Trust is easier when momentum is high. Momentum here was measured. Jones does not describe open conflict between cast and director. He describes professional distance. Wise commanded respect. But respect can also create formality. Formality tempers warmth. DeForest Kelley, known for dry humor, brought familiar energy. Yet even that energy had to fit within the film's contemplative frame. The humor in the script was subdued. McCoy's skepticism remained, but it unfolded against a backdrop of solemnity. When humor is sparse, the set mirrors the tone. Perhaps the most subtle contributor to mood was uncertainty about reception. The original series had developed a devoted fan base. Those fans held strong opinions. Would they accept this restrained aesthetic? Would they accept slower pacing? The cast could not know. Speculation fills silence. Silence was plentiful. As production progressed, fatigue inevitably entered. Long hours, complex setups, repeated takes for technical precision. Fatigue erodes exuberance. It does not necessarily erode commitment. Commitment remained strong, but exuberance softened. Jones suggests that some actors privately missed the brisk tempo of television, the quick turnaround, the immediate sense of progress. The film's deliberate construction sometimes made progress feel incremental. Incremental progress can blur into stagnation, if not carefully perceived. Yet Wise maintained confidence. His experience on films of scale reassured the production. He understood that pacing on set does not necessarily reflect pacing on screen, but actors feel the present more than the future. In the present, there were pauses. Waiting for lighting tweaks. Waiting for set adjustments. Waiting for updated pages. Those pauses became part of the emotional rhythm of production. The transporter accident sequence, though brief in Final Cut, required intense focus. Its tone was darker than typical series fare, and the film was not afraid of seriousness. That seriousness influenced mood. Star Trek was maturing. Maturity can feel somber. The cast embraced professionalism. They delivered performances calibrated to Wise's direction. But Jones hints at a quiet question lingering beneath the surface. Is this too restrained? Is this too different? Those questions did not paralyze. They accompanied. They hovered. The soundstage environment, enclosed and controlled, amplified introspection. Unlike location shooting, Stage 9 offered little distraction. The Enterprise interior became an almost hermetic world. Within that world, the cast reassembled their chemistry. It did return. The Kirk-Spock-McCoy dynamic remained intact, but it was refracted through age and expectation. Age brings perspective. Expectation brings pressure. Pressure encourages caution. Caution permeated the set. One could argue that this caution became part of the film's DNA. The performances feel measured, the camera movements deliberate, the score expansive but controlled. The mood of production may have shaped those qualities. Jones portrays the atmosphere as serious but not bleak, dedicated but not celebratory, focused but not carefree. In many ways, that mood reflected the film's thematic concerns. V'Ger seeks meaning. Spock seeks integration. Kirk seeks relevance. These are not light themes. They demand contemplation. Contemplation demands stillness. Stillness demands patience. Patience, over time, becomes weight. And weight alters mood. As the premiere approached, the cast carried mixed emotions. Pride in the scale achieved, uncertainty about pacing reception, relief that filming was complete. The months on Stage 9 had been immersive. They had been disciplined. They had been different. If anyone expected a triumphant, laughter-filled production reminiscent of the series' camaraderie, they found something else. They found gravity. And gravity is not inherently negative. It signals significance. Everyone involved sensed significance. Star Trek was not simply returning, it was redefining itself. Redefinition is serious work. Serious work creates serious rooms. Looking back, it is tempting to romanticize that era. But Jones's account invites nuance. The mood on Stage 9 was complex, hopeful, tense, professional, cautious. The cast did not openly declare the film a failure, but they were aware they were attempting something risky. Risk breeds vigilance. Vigilance breeds restraint. Restraint breeds solemnity. And the solemnity permeated the set. When audiences finally saw the finished film, they experienced grandeur. They experienced stillness. They experienced a Star Trek that felt different. Behind that difference lay months of careful work under a cloud of quiet wondering. Is this working? Is this landing? Will they understand what we are trying to do? Those questions may never have been shouted, but they were present. They accompanied each take, each lighting reset, each pause. The mood on Stage 9 was not panic, it was anticipation laced with doubt. And sometimes doubt is the price of ambition.